You can go to her website, ROLLYE.net, Raleigh.net. Raleigh James is our guest syndicated radio talk show host. Anybody can hear her who's got XM on channel 158 for everybody out there. She's on 9 to midnight Central Standard Time. Okay, Raleigh, let's go right back to this issue of First Amendment for anything else you want to add on that front. And then I want to get into, I want to get your take on this. They're phrasing it that Obama is this wonderful guy who released the torture memos. But what he's done is come out and confirm what was already public and say they were following orders, so they're protected, reversing the Nuremberg principle of just following orders doesn't cover it when you're, say, raping people in front of their husbands to get answers, as they admit they did. So finish up any First Amendment comments, and then I want to get your take on that.
I think Obama, in addition to everything we're talking about on a personal level, has been schooled his entire lifetime to dislike and distrust the press unless he could manipulate it. And you talked very often about what he was doing on the campaign to reporters. So what they've got here is, in addition to all their plans, they have someone who's emotionally poised to implement whatever it takes.
Yeah, he really is slippery. I think he's more slippery than Bill Clinton, because it always sounds great, but when you look right below the surface, it's always 170 or 180. Sometimes it's a little true, but usually it's about 180 degrees a lie. It's just totally away from the truth.
Yes.
And now I've got Democrats writing editorials attacking me. I've got one here today, and she says, yeah, he's lied about a bunch of stuff. He lied about things a little too quickly. It would have been all right if he'd lied later, but, he did go back on his promises a little too quick. But still, Alex, you're the liar, but never says what I'm lying about.
Well, they have to reposition you. They have to shoot the messenger. Whenever you've got a situation where the message is irrefutable, you've got to come at it at another angle, and you know that. So demonizing you is the easiest way for them to remain in control, to make it seem that you are truly the lunatic fringe. So therefore,
but it's ridiculous, like you said, though. This lady that wrote this latest hit piece, it's from Maneater. It doesn't say anything I'm wrong about. It just says he's a crazy, he's a nut, flying saucers. I don't talk about flying saucers.
Right, but they have to shoot the messenger. They'll claim you came off of the flying saucers if they have to.
That's a good one.
Unfortunately, it's tremendously effective, because this is what I was saying before about the myth of the free press. The bulk of the population still buys it. For instance, the people who will say, if it's in the National Enquirer, I don't believe it, but if it's in the New York Times, I do. Well, with that litmus test, I'll take the Enquirer over the Times every day of the week. But people want to remain in that comfortable place where, but it's not in the New York Times. So they still have what they want. They won't for long, and they know this, and they're seeing the cracks in it. And, yeah, regardless of what they say about you for the record, they know how many people have watched your movies collectively, and they know that's in the tens of millions of people. So at this point, anything they can do to demonize you, they will, because it's the only tool they've got.
Well, I just hope it's not a prelude to something else. You've had a lot thrown at you over the years, being syndicated across the land. What is it like, though, Raleigh, to go from, well, people always listen to you because you always have the facts and were very convincing, but still, some people disagreed, to where now more and more everything we've said is almost passé now. It's just all out in the open, but they just put a different spin on it. The establishment does that it's a good thing.
Well, that's the key. After they're done demonizing you, the next thing is to say, well, what he's saying is all folly. Of course, this is what he thought it was, but he's getting 2 and 2 to equal 22, and it's always been 4. And that's the method. And we're seeing that every day. Janet Napolitano backtracking on the DHS thing. Oh, well, no, we weren't actually trying to demean the military. In other words, reposition it. If they can't reposition you, the next thing they have to do is reposition the message.
But that's what a real tyranny does, is it starts spying on its own military and police, and we know they've been doing that all along. I don't see things going too well for the New World Order, though. I mean, I think it's going to be a rough ride, but I think they're in trouble. What do you think?
Well, the more people awaken, the more they are, and you see that worldwide. The thing that they're very much afraid of is that as people are personally hurting, human nature takes over, and just like the riots across the world where they said, hell no, you're not going to import foreigners to work here, we need these jobs, people do turn to self-protection, and that's a great fear. So they know what they're up against. But, I mentioned the Fabians earlier, and you've talked about them a lot, too. The incrementalism, do everything in small increments. Well, what's happened now is we're on an exponential multiplier. We're now at the point where, in fact, it can be implemented. And so a lot of people are going for it. Do it all now. And you saw that with a lot of the early, well, you're still seeing it, but the really early legislation out of Obama. Get it all in now.
All right, long segment coming up. We'll also take a few calls. 1-800-259-9231. She's Raleigh James, Raleigh.net, ROLLYE.net. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Stay with us. More straight ahead.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.